Right, let's then go and look into some big moments. Now, there's a lot of big moments on this list, Brandon. I would say there's 2 positive ones.
Okay.
So we'll quickly battle through them, right? Because we've been going for about an hour already, right? But we'll quickly batter through them. Number 1, Celtic B tickets being offered on social media. Why? Who? Explain, please. How? Like, one of the most, and this, Brandon, this is saying something. One of the most mental decisions the club have made. What club in their right mind, whether it was given by sponsors, given by a family, I don't care. Who looks at that and thinks tickets for an Old Firm, for a Celtic B, an Old Firm B game, not even an actual Old Firm, an Old Firm B game in an area predominantly Old Firm fans who take away from our club, let's offer them tickets to a B game.
Do you know the whole thing? You've said where, what, who then. That was the catalyst for an absolute insane month or so.
Yep.
Right? And we'll go into that in a bit more detail.
Well,
and
that's the next thing. Fans being banned.
No, but the Celtic behinds, you've just hit it in the nail with how ridiculous it is. The most ridiculous bit about it all, to me, was if you were to take up that offer, you'd have had to get a fucking Apache helicopter to get to the fucking game. So you're meant to run down to the stadium. Hopefully you live in Whitehall to get to the stadium to get your fucking tickets, by the way, and then get a fucking Apache helicopter, drop in with the ball for the fucking game, and then be able to watch the B game, because it was 8 minutes before the fucking kickoff they posted that. Now you can say who in their right mind gave the authorization to post that, and the answer to that is nobody. Like, you have your own free will to do it. Quite clearly, whoever's in charge of the social media has their own free will to do whatever. It was then followed up with responses to people's comments saying, oh, it was just a wee mistake, and I can't remember the exact ones, but then
one of the things said was, I don't think it'd be such a drama.
Aye, and then
that is taking the piss.
And then obviously you had the view for the terrace, like saying, oh, it was like Accies turned into a Facebook mall and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And then, as you know, but again, it sums up in my opinion, and quite clearly as of recent in the past season, the full of Scottish football, how amateurish
100%.
Accies are from the outset, sort of media wise. They've not sort of got with the times, etc. And we just they don't seem to understand that or take accountability. They don't
understand the actual. They don't understand the impact it has.
They don't
understand how important
because
it is.
They quite clearly they don't mind if they're fucking seen as being an embarrassment or joke, because they've got their own and and it's just it was as I said, it was a catalyst to hundreds of different other things, which just honestly it was just an absolute ridiculous period of time, which
I was actually, after we got off the phone last night as a recording, I went back and enjoyed reading back now after it's done some of the posts at that time, because obviously the next thing was there was an account popping up everywhere claiming to be an Accies fan, having pops here and there, this mental back and forth. And we were basically getting told that this is Accies fan, this is an Accies fan, and all this nonsense going on. And I was reading back posts from that period of time, and see Jenny looking back into me, I cannot fathom that this happened in real life. We won't go into massive detail. Everybody watching will know about it already, really. But it was fucking mental. Brandon, see Jenny, I urge everyone who's watching this, right, go back and look at social media, look at public platforms at that time. Some of the things going on where absolutely insane. See, at the time, I felt so much anxiety and stress about it, right? Genuinely. See, looking back at it now, my mind cannot put together how this is real life.
It felt like a facade, mate.
Didn't
like
it?
the whole thing is. See, and I spoke to the View for the Terrace briefly, just talking about how Accies are a bit like a reality TV show. It just doesn't seem like real life at periods of time. And obviously, you're talking about obviously an account became apparent, sort of having goes with fans. There was then talk about fucking things getting hacked in forensic investigations, and police investigations, which I don't know what the outcome of that was.
There was cease and desist letters.
Aye, I know that well. And it just seems like with the club, like, just tell the fucking truth, man. Like, see if you don't tell the truth, you're a liar, and the lies will come out and your truths will get found out. Simple as that. Sorry, not your truths will get found out, your lies will get found out. Honesty is quite clearly the best policy with everything. And keep holding accountability. When I've done things wrong, when you've done things wrong, when other fans have done things wrong, and when the vast majority of people in life do things wrong and they understand that they've done wrong, you hold accountability and you put your hands up, and then that's what earns you a bit more respect for people in any sort of way of life. And the club going about fans being in the wrong, fans doing things incorrectly, and fans, if they have, will take accountability, but regardless of anything, the club never seem to take accountability for their wrongdoings. It's always someone else's fault, or they always find a way to worm their way out of it to then put the blame on someone else without just admitting you've done wrong. If I've done wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. And I think everyone should, because the truth sets you free.
Fucking hell. And that obviously led to fans being banned.
That was again a mental period where fans were having to fucking watch football over someone's phone in a pub.
Fans were banned, and fans boycotted in support of those fans that were banned, myself included. And again, that was a fucking wild period where I can't remember how many games people missed, but I just remember, as you said, sitting in the pub, watching
about the Apache helicopter,
watching the penalties in a cup game, as somebody FaceTimes this pub, and there's a brilliant photo or a brilliant video of about 30 people all crowded around one wee iPhone, and everybody shouting, because the signal's fucking shite, everybody's shouting, who's taking it? Did he miss? Did he score? Because nobody's got a clue. Just an insane period of time, man. An absolutely insane period of time. And I'm just, when that was over, when the fans were allowed back into games, it was like a big relief, man. It was like, I'm just glad the fans are back where they belong.
Yeah, and like fans are allowed back in for having their hands tied behind their back, essentially, and false accountability having to be held. It could be argued for certain fans. But again, an absolute mad period of time that fans were getting banned for, I don't know, voicing their opinion, or for trying to bring out the truth, or try to bring out people to be honest, or being admins of a fucking
insane
Facebook page. Now, it's just, well, I just don't understand where you'd find that at any other football club. It's just insane, but it's what Hamilton Accies is, apparently.
Absolutely insane. I mean, one of the positives, obviously, that came as the Challenge Cup and the celebrations afterwards. We've kind of covered that already, but just briefly, I mean, as we said, one of the best Accies days I've ever had. One of the best Accies nights I've ever had. It was unreal. Best thing about the whole day is a video of an Accies fan in the back of a police car. Here it's here. It is fucking brilliant. Every single time I see it, I think it's fantastic. All the players going out afterwards and celebrating with the fans. It was brilliant, really, really brilliant. And as you said earlier on, unfortunately, that was one of the very, very, very few positives of this season. Another positive is, of course,
just touching that again. It was amazing. The thing that made it was obviously all the players in their kits coming into the Palace. Just there was a lot of harmony between fans and players, and everyone was getting on really well. And I really do hope that some of those players that were there will be here for next season, because a lot of words were spoken between certain fans and certain players, and a lot of players were very honest and about certain things, and I think there is a lot of those players that do have Accies at heart to a degree, and I'd hope they were still here. But no, absolute really good day, good night, and it was just something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was amazing.
And we'll end this little section on another positive, and that's of course the under-18s win the league, securing European football. Really, really gutted I couldn't go to the game. I really, really would have liked to, but you did.
Yeah.
I mean, another fantastic achievement.
And I've been to, I was at a lot of 18s games at the start of the season, and I was a lot at the end of the season as well. Try to go to them where I can if I'm not working, etc. Because a lot of them was during the day. But no, a breath of fresh air to watch. The style of play that they play as well is completely night and day. With the first team was what we watched, just complete free flow attacking football, like
Sean Crichton.
And it was amazing. Just when they get a goal, they go for it again. They get the ball, go, keep going. And sometimes they will concede goals, a bit like Airdrie. They'll make sure that they outscore the other team. Do you know what I mean? They always try and make sure they'll outscore the other team. And no, they're a really good side to watch. But and really congratulations to them. And they deserved to win that league quite clearly. But again, one of the most mental things about that as a whole is the fact that you've got a team in the third tier of their country with their 18s team in Europe. I don't think you'll see that anywhere else across Europe. And it might be worthwhile asking our Twitter admin if that's the first ever of its kind, because I'd find it hard to believe that there is a 18s team that's played in the Champions League version of their competition whilst being in the third tier of the league. So that might be a question that's worth asking.
Throw that out there. Let's, Brandon, go on to, I'm going to ask you some ratings.
I think
now. Okay, fire away.
So the other thing another mental moment which we can filter in there was a lot of talk on social media of fans having arguments with members of staff.
What one are you talking about?
That sums it up for me.
Yeah, that's true. What one are you talking about?
There was obviously a few, wasn't there? The one that sort of came to mind was the one recently on Twitter, which I just thought was ridiculous as well. But
well, I think briefly on that, I think if you are a staff member of any organisation, football club or otherwise, you need to be very wary about what you say online. I think if you're, especially in a football environment where emotions run high, you need to be extra wary about what you say online. I think that you need to be very careful about what you call out and who you call out. I just wouldn't call MD out if you work in football, to be totally honest with you, but I think any situation like that is ridiculous, and especially some of the stuff we've seen from Accies on social.
Like a hate crime.
On social media. I think Accies have been an absolute disaster this season. I'm just being honest. Embarrassing. It's been a redneck at times. We've been the laughing stock of Scottish football, and just completely embarrassing, man.
And people, I don't think the football club understand that social media is a huge part, and media is a huge part of football these days. It's huge.
Yep.
It's what affects mental health. It's what other teams perceive of you. Yep. It's huge.
Yep.
But I don't think they seem to appreciate that. And that's the thing. I know, obviously, with you working within the industry, will really grind your gears. And you obviously went in for a period of time. And I think every fan, this is not me just fucking saying it because you're sat in front of me, every fan will quite clearly see that period that you went through was night and day. We even had, and I'm not going to drop the player in it, player talking to me at the cup final aftermath, just speaking about the podcast, saying how he's watched it, he thinks it's brilliant, and it's completely night and day content in comparison to what the club do. He's never been at a football club which he's went into, and it's been non-existent. There's been no people getting interviews after the game. There's not been any content getting published to training. There's not been any content whatsoever. He just found it absolutely absurd that there was none of that. And that says to me, if you're a football player and you're seeing your team getting absolutely lambasted everywhere on social media just because of their amateurness and the ridiculousness of things that are getting posted on a regular basis, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or lack of posting completely. Why would you want to go to a club like that as well? Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing which really needs to, if the new owner's coming in and that's getting, he wants to make changes, etc., then that's something that quite clearly needs to be improved upon, or else, again, there's just going to be no relationship whatsoever.
Mate, I could do a whole podcast on that, and I think any time that I'm in an unfortunate situation where whenever something embarrassing happens on social media, about 6 people send me it, and I say the same thing to everyone. It's an embarrassment.
It'll happen to you more often than not because you work within sort of media and etc. But do you know, think not all my pals are Accies fans. As soon as fucking something like that happens, group chat straight away.
Well, I mean, I'm getting it for...
I'm getting it for fucking my mom. Even my mom messaging me, what's that video on Facebook all about? What's he talking about? Blah, blah, blah. It's just...
I mean, as you said, mate, it's in group chats. I mean, a pint and 2 shots, right? Again, I'll name them. Rangers and Celtic fans, right? Really have no real interest in anything other than Rangers and Celtic, if I'm being honest. But they send it in. But what the fuck is this all about? And I go...
And you have other teams that come in and they just absolutely say, what Zach is about that?
100%, mate. 100%. It's embarrassing. It's an absolute... And as I said, I could do a whole podcast
do we talk about the video? Or like, get the fans being the blame? Or do we bring that into going into the new season with a new owner?
Bring it in because we're just moving on to kind of what's next. Big moments, what's next, and then we'll get fan questions. Sorry.
Would any of you talk about players, like individual
Oh,
players?
I did mean to do that. Sorry, that's next night. So, Brandon, before we get into the next season, there's plenty to talk about already about what to look forward to in quotations. But let's look back just briefly at the players this season. Now, it's fair to say that there were a few standouts from a poor side. The first one I'm going to name is Connor Smith. He is the greatest footballer to ever live. No, he is a fantastic player. Really, really like Connor Smith. At times seemed the only player who was able to create any sort of chance in that team. He was the only player I thought at times who looked like he could score a goal. He was the only player at times. He was the player at times that I thought, as soon as players got the ball, they're immediately going, "Where's Connor? Where is he?" Because they knew that everything had to go through him. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think that I don't think he'll get into the Hearts team, which is unfortunate because I think he's really talented. But I think he could do a job easily for a Premiership club, and a decent Premiership club as well, because I think he's a really, really talented player, and I'm absolutely gutted to see the back of him.
Totally agree, and it's just unfortunate that the style of play he was playing in didn't really allow him to express and show the type of player that he actually was. The periods when we were maybe getting beat and he had a bit more freedom because he was quite clearly told that we need to maybe attack a bit more because we're getting beat, is when you saw the best of him, or when we were in those games where we ultimately had to win, is when you saw the best of him. For instance, the Airdrie game, and even though he didn't score in the Alloa game, you saw him the best there. So, really good player. Unfortunate to see the back of him, but again, it's our own fault, in my opinion, because it could have quite clearly been far better had he been playing in a better setup and better mentality side.
Dylan McGowan is the second one. I thought Dylan McGowan came in January and has been superb. Came into a really, really poor defence, helped solidify it, helped bring a bit of stability to that defence, and then I thought created a quite a good partnership with Fergus Owens and Dan O'Reilly in a back five. And I thought, again, really, really good player and still do a job easily in the Championship.
No, definitely. And obviously, again, another one sad to see you go. Came in. Obviously, I've not mentioned it actually this whole podcast. Drink. It's a really shite standard Championship. So you've not really got many players that are attacking you, that are going to threaten you, and otherwise it's just because how shite we were making teams look better than which they were. So he's came in, he's solidified things pretty well, and on and off the park he was a bit of a character. He was clearly a leader, and he was good to obviously have around, and he did make a difference to our team clearly when he was in it. So no, it's unfortunate to see him go, and it'll be an experience gap that we'll probably lack if we don't bring in next season.
Yep. Regan Tumley, another one who came in January, another very talented player. Again, another one who looked to be one of the few positives in a poor side. We really lacked a right back from the start of the season, and I thought he came in, did very well, and another one I think he'll get a decent move.
I think if we're staying full time next season, just give him whatever he wants. Like, in my opinion, I think so highly of Regan Tumley as a player who's fucking hilarious at the cup final as well. But he seems to have be a good person to have in the change room. But in my opinion, he was one of our best players. That again, I feel sorry for him, and if I was him, I'd probably leave who isn't getting value for money in a contract, just sheerly how for me, how it perceived he was getting treated with the way he was getting subbed, etc. Which, unless he was absolutely fucked, which I couldn't see, didn't deserve, and the subs that he was getting taken off for was just ridiculous. He didn't seem happy with getting taken off, but he's a really good player, and it's a position that next season we've got rid of Doyle, so we're going to not have a right back unless we keep Tumley. You know, he was not part of the, and again probably touching this a bit more. Didn't say that we hadn't offered him a contract, so I'd hope that if we have offered him a contract, it's of good value. We've apparently got a new owner coming in. Hopefully they're putting a bit of money in, and we're trying to actually get back into the championship like we've said we're going to, which I don't know if we will speculate to accumulate, because we never ever do that, but I do our utmost to try and keep him, because he's a fucking top quality player.
100%. Two players I want to mention in the same bracket here, because I think they're two players that could potentially be up for play of the season. The first one's Scott Martin in midfield, and the second one is no surprise, is Ryan Fulton in goal. I think Scott Martin didn't have the strongest start to the season, I don't think, but as the season came on, became a real presence in the midfield, became a nuisance in the midfield, and became a player that was probably one of the first names, or probably was the first name in the team sheet. I really like Scott Martin. I don't think he'll sign next season. I think a move he gets, I think, will be a decent move. There was a talk of Dundee United. No, I don't believe that, but I think he'll get a good move in him, because I do think Scotty Martin in a better side could be a real quality player. And then obviously Ryan Fulton, my player of the season by far. I mean, he should get player of the season based purely off the Challenge Cup final performance, but I think they conceded a hell of a lot more goals without him. I think you saw the kind of what happened at the end of the season when he was quote unquote injured, but
Do you think that's true?
no, not at all.
So you think, again, another case a bit similar to Andy Ryde, where the club were willing to risk and lose out all the money of getting relegated again for the second time in 3 years, just to protect a hopeful fee for a player, which
I think if rumours are to believe, he's getting moved in the summer, and they've thought he's maybe had a wee niggle or something, and they've thought, we can't risk you, because if you get injured and they pull out a deal, we lose money. So we're going to play Jamie Smith. No hate towards Jamie Smith, but we're going to play Jamie Smith, and you're not even going to be in the squads. I think that's what they've done to protect their deal, which is mental.
Is that not absolutely bizarre? When let's just say, I don't know what the fee would be, like 50 grand, I don't know, for Ryan Fulton, but over the course of the season you're going to lose far much more than that. It's just insane, and their business model with regards to that seems, in my opinion, ridiculous, that they're willing to take a gamble in that when all their gambles seem to go fucking tits up. But hey ho, but no, Fulton was amazing last season again. The cup final was just unbelievable. Scotty Martin, I think he will sign, and I hope he does sign. I think he's a type of player in that league will just flourish. He just won't give up, and I think us being one of the better teams in the league, we'll see what happens in the summer, or should I say, we'll see what happens in fucking October, with who we bring in, etc. But I think if you give Scott Martin what he wants, or what he would get potentially elsewhere. You're not going to be breaking the bank, essentially, in my opinion, by doing so. Just give him what he wants. He's been at Accies for a long period of time. He's one of the ones that knows what it's kind of about. He's got that fight and about him clearly, and that's what you need, and that's what we'll need in this league going if we're going to be doing what we're saying we're going to be doing. So, no, brilliant all season, last season, especially in the second half, and we should be doing our utmost to keep him. I think all the other players, there's no point in going into too much detail about a lot of the other ones because they were all on for the utmost disappointing, like really disappointing. But I do think there was a lot of players in there that didn't get the chance they deserved, and they didn't get the opportunity of showing their capabilities, sheerly down to how we were set up and the manner in which we would play. I think there was players in that squad that clearly had raw talent. And I'm sure moving forward they will go on to show that they do. I just feel they didn't get the opportunity, both in game time, but also just sheerly down to the manner in which we played.
And I'm going to ask you... In fact, no, I won't even fuck it. So, Brandon, looking ahead now to next season... I was going to ask you for ratings, but I can't be fucking bothered, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Looking forward, there's a lot of question marks over what happens during the summer now. Obviously, as the time you're recording this, released a squad update. It was players loan ending who was released. The players that were released were not any players that you wouldn't expect to see on the list. Ben Asheshiel, Steve Lawson, Michael Doyle, etc., etc., etc. No players I think were a great surprise. As you touched on earlier on, obviously a lot of players that didn't mention, I mean the whole squad list didn't mention. That tells me that they're offering them new deals or seeing what's kind of going on behind the scenes, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. But I suppose the biggest question over it is of the ownership of the club, because there was a video released just before the end of the season.
So just before the video was released, obviously we had the statement from the chairman as well. The video was released, the fans have clearly, apparently, all accountability is on the fans, apparently. Which again, I just think it's very unfair that there is never any accountability. There seems to be a lack of honesty from one side, but they have to push it all on the other side. It's never like the sort of victim, never their fault mentality. I think on the back of them, obviously, he's came out and says that you give ownership, blah, 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 all that jargon. So that's then developed. We've got relegated, and then there's been an article come out, obviously, saying that there's two interested parties.
One of them is me and you chipping in a tenner. That's one of the interested parties, mate.
Yeah, well, aye.
Like, it's
there's one party.
All
let's
the talk
be honest.
of an ownership change and all this stuff, it's a name change. It's a different guy's name on the door. That's my honest opinion on it. I obviously hope I'm wrong. I obviously hope that let's Serif Zengen is the supposed preferred bidder, right? I really hope that Serif comes in and he's got the ability to put money in and make changes, make positive changes that are needed to be made, and that includes signings, but it also includes cleaning out some of the toxicity behind the scenes. I really, really hope he can do that. Do I think he can, or he will, or he has the power? No. I think he's coming in, he's going to put his name on the door, he's going to be the custodian of Hamilton Accies, but he doesn't want the stadium.
Saw this several times before. It's just been a revolving clock, a revolving sort of cycle of sort of name changes. This person's in charge, blah, 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 and it just seems to be a sort of, it seems very much what's the word, a sort of shut up tactic, because it's perceived to be a certain thing, and it'll quiet certain fans for a while, because they'll sort of give it the benefit of the doubt. It'll be like, oh no, that's a good changes happening, blah blah blah, but then a few months down the line it'll be perceived that nothing's happened, nothing's changed, and it's just the same shit over and over again. Again, I really hope that I'm wrong with that, and like you mentioned, mate, I think for fans and club to be on board, there needs to be accountability, there needs to be honesty, there needs to be communication, there needs to be so much more than what there is just now, because we're seen to be a shit show, we're seen to be an embarrassment, where the fans are always the ones to blame. There's never any. The fans are to blame clearly for getting relegated. May as well come out and say that. We've been told that we're to blame for everything else.
Well, they can't bring sponsorship in because the fans are angry. They can't, like, fucking what else? What else is our fault?
So it's insane, and you wouldn't see it at any other football club, in my opinion. It's just ridiculous. The fans are to blame for absolutely everything, and constantly coming out and saying that, you're like, oh, we only bring sponsorship in because of what we do off the park. And yeah, no, great, charitable work, brilliant. Honestly, like I can't fault doing charity work. Like, I don't think a single person would be, but to constantly come out and say that stuff over and over and over again. Do you think other football clubs don't do stuff in the community? Do you think other football stuffs don't get sponsorship? And do you think other football clubs don't rely on sponsorship for their income? No other football club in the world would be able to survive without sponsorship. 100%. So apparently we're different in that respect. And I think it's that mentality from the top to bottom, that, and the bottom to top, that bleeds that toxicity, and that's the root core of the problem between the fans and support, and where there's no harmony whatsoever, and that needs to change moving forward. 100%. Otherwise we're going to see ourselves float down the leagues even further and just not get to the levels where we've been seen to be in the past couple of years. I
think, just to tie up what you've just said there, I think a lot of it is the club see it as us against them.
Doesn't it need to be that?
And that's not the way a football club should be.
Doesn't need to be that. It shouldn't be how the football club is, but it's entirely how it is, and it needs to change, and there's easy ways to change that, but it's just about people holding their hands up, being honest, being truthful, and having a bit of accountability. Yeah.
We've got some fan questions to ask. We asked online for any fan questions, for anybody who wants to get involved, so we'll round off with one of them. First off is from Hammy. He said, would we back Jamie Smith as being number one in League One? Now, again, as I said earlier, no hate towards Jamie Smith at all, but no, I would bring in a first choice keeper. I think keep him as backup isn't a bad idea. I don't think he necessarily played. I don't think we lost any of the playoff games because of Jamie Smith, but I wouldn't have him as number one. I would bring in another one.
I'm the same, mate. Again, no hate towards him. I don't think he's really stepped a foot out of line since he's been there.
Nope.
Since he's sort of been given time, especially in the last 4 games. But no, I think we need another. We've always been that team that's had a keeper that's kept us where we are, and we've always been renowned to having that player that, like, goalkeeper's always been one of our strengths. And I think if you've got a good, you start for the back and you've got the strong core, then you're giving yourself a good chance of winning the league. Queen of the South had that Dabrowski, who, if it wasn't for him, would have been quite a fair bit down the league as well. So it shows that if you've got a good goalkeeper, you're giving yourself a fighting chance regardless of what league you're in. So if we have a good, really, really strong goalkeeper, I think we give ourselves a good chance next season. And I don't think Jamie Smith's at that point yet.
No. John Joe has asked, should we sign part-time players, or would that complicate things? I don't think it would complicate things necessarily. We had Kieran McDonald, he was supposedly a part-time player. Especially going into League One, I think there are quality part-time players that we could possibly go and get. Do I think it would complicate things? No. Do I mind the club signing part-time players? No, as long as they perform.
I'm the exact same, and we don't know, again...
we don't even know right now if we'll be part-time, you're right. No, you're right.
It's been 11 days since we've been relegated. We've absolutely heard not a peep, which is just insane.
Everybody's on holiday, mate. Nobody's at the club.
Everybody's on holiday, nobody's at the club, and it's the fans' fault we've not heard anything in 11 days. We've not heard a statement, and see if we don't hear a statement at all, it's just absurd. If they don't speak about the past season and moving forward, and see if the only thing we hear is, oh, this is a new owner, and then a message for him, that on its own is absurd. And it just shows the absolute zero lack of accountability about that season behind. There needs to be something, even if it's them again saying, oh, we got relegated, we didn't go on with the fans, blah blah blah. Fair enough, blame the fans again, but you cannot just forget what's just happened.
I agree.
It's not going to just get brushed under the carpet, which it seems a lot of things do with Accies, let's be honest. Like that past season there, so many things happened. It was a new thing after another. Oh, this happened. Other one brushed on the carpet. This happened, blah, blah, blah. But don't know how that got to part-time. But anyway, no, I think there's a lot of part-time players that are really, really good. And I think that we're going to be in a league against teams which for the most part, are part-time. It'll just be, well, again, we don't know if we're going to be part-time or not, but you've got Queens, Falkirk and Cove have confirmed now will be the full-time teams. I have no issue having part-time players if they're of a certain calibre, which I'm sure there's a lot of players in. On the note of Kieran McDonald, I'd love Kieran McDonald bring back.
Would you bring him back?
Yes, definitely.
Would you?
Yes, and I'm sure he'd be welcome to it as well.
All right. If the club do decide to part ways with management, which by the sounds of it they are not, John Rankin remains next season. But I'm just going to touch on this quickly, right, because this isn't a question. Right? I meant to bring it up earlier on. Why on earth, after being relegated, we don't know the squad list, you're offering deals to a lot of your starting 11? Would you come out and say, listen, we'll probably be odds-on favourite to win the league? Why would you say that? Because all you're doing immediately is putting pressure on yourself. Doesn't make any sense.
No, we should be the favourite to win the league. But it's the fact that there's not been a statement for the board about him even being in charge next season. There's not been a statement for the board about what's happening moving forward. We're announcing friendlies without even clarifying who the manager is, etc. Nobody knows what's going on. But then out of the blue, we get a Lanarkshire Live fucking article saying, it's a big rebuild, blah blah. So it's ridiculous in its own right. And what was the question going to be?
Sorry, so it was going to be, if we do get rid of John Rankin, who would be the ideal replacement?
The reason for me saying that is because I'm being realistic. There's a lot of other candidates which I could mention, which could be potential ones, but thinking about it and thinking honestly and truthfully, when we know Accies as being a club which historically, or when they have hired people that perhaps didn't go with the mantra of Accies or what should be done, or if they went against certain people, not even against people, but they did things that certain people that in-house were unhappy about, we stories would then filter the way up to the hierarchy, and then you wouldn't see them again. So take of that what you will. But thinking about Ian McCall, apparently he's got a good relationship with a couple of directors. He was a
guest at the club a few weeks ago.
He's been a guest at a club a few times. He's already apparently said that he would happily take the job. Okay. And he's got experience in the lower leagues of Scottish football. He knows it. He seems a good character, and he's got experience, and he'll know what it takes to sort of win that league. So that's my reason why it'd be Ian McCall. But again, it's not going to be the case. There's no point in us having this conversation because we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you think Andy Winter could be top goal scorer? That question was from Liam, sorry. Do you think Andy Winter could be top goal scorer next season? Number one, if he signs, because we don't even know if he's going to be here next season. I don't see why not.
Depends what's around him, right? In my opinion, and depends how we play.
I don't see why he couldn't be top goal scorer, because I think he's like a very good finisher. I mean, we were told that he's was it Stan Taylor said he was the best finisher at the club. I think Andy Winter has the potential to be a really good quality striker. He just struggles in it, and he ends up being a bit of a workhorse.
It's because he's having to do all that work. Yeah. Though. Like he's been like, and that's what other fans maybe are very critical of him for, because he's having to do a lot of the players around him's work for them, so he's getting very isolated for the positions that he should be. Like you says, the 18s he was top goal scorer by now, the 20s he was scoring for fun. He came in his debut, scored against Edinburgh City. The boy is, in my opinion, a really good talent. He is a really good finisher of the ball, but it depends what's around him and depends how he's getting to express himself. And if we're playing in a negative mentality where he's having to put in, bust his arse off and do everybody's job for them because he's getting played in this negative position, then he's on to a losing battle. So in my opinion, can he be top goal scorer? Yes, but it depends how we set up and what's around him.
All right. That was from Ian, thank you. One we kind of touched on earlier on a little bit was Maitland letting Ryan go start of the downfall? Downfall had already started. Downfall had started already. Was it a horrible decision? Yes, we've already spoke about that, but it was not start of downfall. And finally, Jack has asked if we could extend one player's loan from last season, which one would it be for next season? I think we'll have different answers. You go first. So one of our loan players, if you could extend it, who would it be?
See, if things were different...
Tom Sparrow. Imagine.
See, See if things were different and we played with a certain style of football, we were attacking team, we were on the front foot, we weren't this negative bastards, and we actually had players that allowed players to play to their best of ability, 100,000,000% Lucas the Ball all day long.
Ooh, that's not who I thought you were going to say.
You completely forgot about him, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I know I did think about him, but I just thought he's not the obvious choice.
All day long. If that was the case, which it's not going to be, unfortunately. Okay. Rankin as a manager, we're known to play this negative football, even though he promised us a type of football he was going to play and what he would want to be, have Accies to have their identity back, which so that is completely didn't unfold. And if 100,000,000% Lucas the Ball, I think his talent is quite clear to see. People might have called him lazy. I just felt that what was around him was rotten, and he was having to do a lot of things that weren't his normal type of job, so he wouldn't get to show his actual ability. I think out of the players,
he's a luxury player.
So if you've got a team that's attacking one of the better teams in the league, you've actually got players up front that he can bounce off of. 1,000,000% him. But because that's not the case, Connor Smith.
Okay, mine's would be Teehee.
Okay.
I think in League One he would be a quality striker. I think he's powerful, and obviously his finishing needs work, right? But I think in League One, as a kind of a nuisance up top, I think he'd be a quality striker. Can you say that with a straight face? Dylan McGowan would be my choice. It's not.
You were being honest.
No, of course not. No. Although he is, to be fair to him, he's doing his charity work. He's out giving the under-17s water in France.
Yeah, I noticed that. But again, a person that
nice enough guy
played in the right manner. He's not been at full cup for a reason. So I just feel that a lot of the players were pretty much given a hard card because the players had a lot of their hands behind their back because of the way in which they were getting played.
Mate, he was fucking brutal.
Right, okay,
he could have played in Barca's 2012 team and he would have been shite. Mate, he shot him and Benny Ashley Seal.
Let's just forget about it.
No, mine would be Dylan McGowan. Obviously I would love to say Connor Smith and Lucas the Ball and these attacking players. But I think we need to start by building a strong spine of a team. And Dylan McGowan, I think, is the key to that. As I say, came in and solidified in January. He's quite obviously a leader. I think he would dominate in League One. I think it'd be hard to find a better centre-back in League One at the moment than Dylan McGowan. And as I said, as much as I would love a flair player and an attacking player like a Connor Smith, I think we need to build a really, really strong spine of the team, and I think Dylan McGowan would be the first spot to do that. Second, if my second choice would be Jean-Pierre Teehee.
Okay, no, then that's a completely fair point, and I think we do need to have a strong spine.
So, Brandon, this has been a wild ride, mate.
Aye.
End of part 2, end of our end of season review. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all the stuff you've done this season. It's been great.
Thank you, mate.
It's great to have you on.
It's been really hard to fucking do this and keep it going when obviously there's no effort from the other side of things, and it seems to be a one-way traffic where this content is getting produced. Obviously you do all the hard work. I'm just the fucking guy with the beautiful face. But obviously when you went into the club it was night and day, and I think that period of time, I think the club need to just hold up their hands and realise that they've done wrong as well, because look at us now, we're fucking
laughing stock of Scottish football.
Laughing stock of Scottish football. Media is such a big thing, and they really need this type of content to be out there if they want to have any sort of form of relationship with the fans, regardless if they have their ego at heart and they just want to sort of control everything like Big Brother. But it is what it is. No, so thank you for doing this, and I hope the fans enjoyed this. We'll try and continue to do it in League One as much as we can. We're not going to just stop because we've been relegated. We'll try and do it as often as we can. Obviously it's been hard this season with just all the incidents which have happened and just the constant downer that the club put you on, both on the park and off the park, so it's been hard. But no, we'll continue to do this. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'm sure we'll sort of do more content as the summer goes on. And fingers crossed, and let's hope that we see a lot of changes happening throughout this summer. We see a bit of money getting spent, and we can actually watch our team win games for a change.
100%. Thank you, as Brandon said, for watching. Thank you for all the support over the season. It's been brilliant. We really, really appreciate everybody who watches it and comments and shares and all this stuff. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on social media down below. As Brandon says, as the summer goes on, more content will be coming out. But we shall see you very, very soon, hopefully.
See you in the seaside.
See you later.